topic, as you can see, is using resources to raise awareness. And I want to just start with a very small story of the importance. So there was a woman in Israel who, their child was sick for quite a while, and usually in Israel, actually, diagnosis is pretty quick, but this child wasn't diagnosed, and she was going around and around, and eventually she was diagnosed with JIA. But the mother refused to acknowledge it, saying, can't be, my child hasn't got arthritis, and basically was left up to the father to be going to the doctor and to trying to give her a medication, but there was always this sort of block that the mother had. And at one point in time, the father forced the mother to come with him to the doctor, and he gave them a book. I don't know if everyone's seen it, the book called Kippo, which is a book for small children. This girl was in the range of Kippo. She was a little bit older, but she was in the range of Kippo. And she went home, and she read the book, and then she read the book with her mother, and then she asked to go read the book at school with all her classmates. And all of a sudden, there was this change in the girl and then in the mother to what the disease is, what I can do, and living with the disease in a more healthy way. She didn't want JIA, but all of a sudden, she could live with it in a healthier way, understanding she had to take medication, understanding that she needed injections or shots wherever you come from in the world. And that, we might not know exactly what she has, and it might take time. It might not be so simple, but all of a sudden, the whole outlook changed, both of hers and in the mother's. And I think that's what we want to show at the moment. It's through all levels, and I think, Felix also gave us an idea of what peers can do, that using the resources, we can really make a difference to our child. And just to start, in the beginning, there are not many doctors here, but I've gone into many sessions over here, and the doctors have talked about, and the researchers have talked about many subjects, treat to target, and IL-6, IL-17, and all different researchers. And sometimes we forget that at the bottom of this whole chain, there's a child. And if that child is not able to live with his disease, if the parents aren't able to live with the disease, if it's not a happy family, if it's not a family that understands what they're going through, then you're not going to have compliance, and you're not going to have well-being, and you're not going to have all of that. And who knows how that affects actually the medicine itself. So basically at the bottom of it is getting a child and getting a family with understanding and with an ability to deal with what they're going through. So.
Okay. So today, what we would like to share with you, first of all, an understanding that raising awareness is very important, but also that it's very feasible. I think, Felix, you showed us that with very limited sums, you can do a tremendous amount. I know that at least for us, our initial feeling was that unless we had a lot of money, we couldn't go anywhere, but that's not true. With very limited resources, you've got more resources than what you have. You can go very far away. We're going to discuss three things. Who needs to be targeted by this awareness? The second question is, what does child-friendly mean? And the third thing is, of course, where are these resources hiding? Okay, so since we're only talking about child-friendly awareness, we're leaving out the doctors and the health practitioners, etc. We're targeting three main children groups. The first, of course, is the child that is sick. We're discussing here at JIA. Of course, knowledge is power. A child that understands what's wrong with him is a child that is much, much better and able to cope with his difficulties. As soon as he has a framework of understanding what's wrong, his level of fear goes down. Our son, who we thought was very well informed at age 8 of his sickness, because we spoke about it all the time, we were already advocating child's needs, and then one day our doctor, Professor Hashkes, who just walked in, thank you, gave us a book in Hebrew that they were doing, that they were using for research about JIA, and I was shocked to see my child sit on the couch and read the book from cover to cover 3 times. And then when he came into the kitchen, I saw a difference in his face. All of a sudden, his face was calm. And I never realized that he was tense until I saw his face becoming calm. And I asked him, what did you learn in the book that you didn't know? And he said, Ima, I learned that I'm not going to die from this. And I was like, I never thought to tell him that you don't die from JIA. But I didn't know what was in his mind, didn't know what his fears were. And therefore, a child that knows is a child that is as much calmer, is able to cope with what's going on. Another thing which is very important, we want our children to be able to comply with treatment. Treatment is difficult, unpleasant often, and unless a child believes that it's going to take him somewhere, he's going to find it very, very difficult to comply with the injections. And of course, to give hope, but we'll talk about giving hope a little bit more as we go along. Next to that, I think, again, you've demonstrated how important the relationship between siblings are. And I know from our experience that when a child is sick, the siblings are affected. Often they're afraid. How could it be that my sibling has something that they're so sick and my parents can't help them? Right? Parents are second to God when you're a kid. And if your parents can't help, what does that mean? What if something happens to me? What's going to happen to my sibling? Right? It's very, very important for the siblings also to understand what's going on. I had a parent once speak to me. They had a child of 2 or 3, and they didn't tell the child anything about what the child had. They said, no, they're too young, I don't want to explain. I'm worried they're going to be afraid. And I thought to myself, this child is old enough to understand. What does she think when she's dragged from hospital to hospital, from injection to injection? What does she think? Something must be told to her, right? So yes, you have to tell the children, you have to tell the siblings. Of course, we need siblings also understand in order to give empathy and support. And our third circle around our child who's at the target is his peers. Children at school look and say, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing all different funny things? Why are you limping? Why aren't you in PE? Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? The child sometimes finds it difficult to fit into the social situations at school. And it's very, very important that children in class or in kindergarten understand what's wrong, so they don't pick on the child, so they give them the support that they need, that they give them the space that they need for what's wrong. Okay, so we've divided the people who can give over this awareness into 3 groups. We've got our parents, peers, and more sophisticated staff. So the first thing is reading books, okay? I believe very strongly in reading books. There are a lot of books out there about JIA, about other inflammatory illnesses. I'm going to divide these books roughly into 2. The one type of books is the books that you can buy online. Some of them I'm sure are very good. You've got Keeping a Secret, Disabilities in Me, Medikids type of books. These are books that are produced by individuals or by doctor organizations, fitting for different ages. And then there are books that are produced by societies. The difference is that often a book that's produced by society you can get for free. And for some people it's a very significant difference. Some books exist only in the language of that country, but other books can be bought in different languages. For instance, if a Kippur on the bottom here was produced in Israel by the parent associations, and it was immediately produced in 3 languages, in Hebrew, English, and Arabic, but it also exists now in another 3 or 4 languages, and can be produced by any association that wants it. We will give them the material, and they just have to translate it and produce it, no rights. In other words, you don't have to buy the rights for the book.
Okay, so another thing, and one thing very important to mention with books, and these are videos, producing videos, like Felix's videos, or there are videos or animations that were produced in South Africa that can be used. What's very important for parents to hear, and this is actually a parent, a point for parents, is that everything that we do has to be together with a child. Don't sit your child in front of a video and let him watch the video. Everything has to be done together. Everything has to be negotiated and mediated, so that, number one, it's good for any child to watch and to read things together with a parent, but especially a sick child, that gains understanding where the problems are, what the feelings are. So, you know, you've got educational videos, watch them together with your child. And then there are books for teens as well, which I know that these have been translated, like Med Kids, have been translated into many, many different languages. They're really excellent books. And, you know, for slightly older children, 11, 12, they can read through these books. It gives them an understanding of the disease in a very friendly way. And it's really, like my son, it's really a different child after they have an understanding of what the disease is, where they're going. And what's interesting, what I saw, you know, in our experience is from reading this book, our son got older. He's now not a bad researcher. He knows things about many, many subjects. And sort of he grows up with his disease understanding. And, you know, Professor Hashkas is here. I remember we went to see him, and then we're deciding, are we weaning off methotrexate or not? And it was a discussion with Shmuel. In other words, do you want to, don't you want to, shouldn't we? You know, it's a combined decision. And children that are involved from an early age and as teens with understanding and knowing where they're going through makes a very, very big difference to the disease.
Yeah, our goal is to make a child independent in his illness, so he can also look after himself. I want to add another thing about books. Another reason why it's important to read together with the child or watch the video together with the child. Especially young children do not have a vocabulary which they can use to explain or describe what's wrong. And when they sit with the parent can give them the vocabulary that they need. For instance, if they're reading a book about a child that is in pain, so the parent can turn to the child and say, are you also in pain? Show me where it's sore. And teach the child the names of the limbs, the description that is needed to describe what's wrong, so that afterwards the child can tell the parent what is wrong. When children are very, very little, I don't know if you all remember when your kids were small, so their stomach hurt, no matter if it was their ear or their toe, right? Because they didn't know how to say anything else. But we need our children to be able to articulate what's wrong. And this is an opportunity to articulate what's wrong, but also to learn what makes them feel better. And that's these moments are so precious and so important, both for us as healthcare, you know, but also as parents. Another thing that parents can do, coloring with children. This is the scene is a scene of a hospital. Even a very young child can color. And you can talk together. Oh, what are you coloring now? Do you know why they do it? You know, and just discuss it with the child in a non-tense environment and raise their understanding of what's happening. Of course, the child can also take these pictures to school and let the kids at school also color the pictures, and he can tell them he can explain to the kids what's going on.
One other idea with things like coloring, etc. And this is ideas that were given us by Dr. Amy Baxter, who's a doctor from the States that deals with pain management. So often when you distract a child when they're going through a treatment, they're getting a shot, they're getting you know, some of them are painful. If they're distracted by coloring or by watching a movie or by doing something else, that helps them manage the pain.
I want to mention that this, for instance, is taken from JAR, which is not here. The JAR's website has got a fortune of child-friendly things that you can use, and everything is for free. You can just download it and use it. Get out of this. Okay. So in the middle here is Shaked. Shaked is 3 years old. She has JIA. She was going through a very difficult time, and her mother discussed with her kindergarten teacher. They devised together a plan to help empower Shaked. And what Shaked did was she came to her kindergarten class together with her Kippur book, and with the kindergarten teacher's help, she told the whole class what her problem was, how her difficulty, and she shared with the children her story. And then afterwards, she gave out to each child one of the stickers that her mother had prepared to give to her each time she got her injection. And she went around, and this is a picture of her giving out the stickers. And it was a tremendously empowering moment for Shaked to be acknowledged. The kindergarten teacher was amazing. She said, oh, she's a super a superhero. Look at the shot that she gets, make her super strong, that she's able to feel better, etc. Next to Shaked is Peg Leg. Peg Leg is a book written by an 11-year-old. I think he was 10 at the time. It's sort of like I don't know what it's called in English. I think some of you, a diary of a nerd. Okay, it's written in that type of a format, and he traces his journey through the beginning, the onset of JIA, diagnosis, and treatment. It's a beautiful book. It's so clear. It's child to child. Again, also on JAR, anyone can download it. And another way that the children can talk about their illness is there's a child here dressed up as the hero of the book, and he's going to school. He's going to explain what's wrong with him. I want to add, of course, you all heard Felix, but I'm not obviously not so much in the media world. I belong to the old generation, but social media. So many of our children are on social media. Here, look, I don't have to tell you. You heard how much you can do and how much a child can do on social media.
Okay. This is from Cassia and Friends. We've tried to bring from all over the world the different things people are doing. So this is a race that they arranged for kids with rheumatic diseases to have. Again, raising awareness, empowering the kids. Okay, one thing I'm going to mention, actually later on today there's another session about PAVE, which I'll leave to Corinne, who's going to explain what it is. But it's a number of countries, including Israel, and what we're actually researching is having a mentor. In other words, what we're going to do is a person that is a young child, it's up to 5 years old, that is diagnosed, is going to be given a mentor of a teenager that has got a rheumatic disease. And he's going to be their buddy, his mentor, and we're actually going to research what difference does this make. In other words, you have someone experienced that's been through it already, he knows what it is to be, a kid and to be sick from methotrexate. I remember we often have parents calling us and children calling us, and I remember my son speaking to this young girl, and she was going to a party, she didn't want to take the methotrexate, and said, Shmuel says, I never want to take methotrexate, but just force myself and take it. There's nothing you can do about it. So, in other words, we feel that this buddy mentor system can be very, very good, and we want to research to see if it does make a difference and hopefully disseminate it into different countries. And I know that Casper is also doing research, and we have to speak and see if we can collaborate in the research of mentors and what differences it's going to make.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the field where we need people slightly more experienced in order to help disseminate awareness. This is from the ORCA Parent Association. They had a professional put together a PowerPoint presentation that explains JIA, and it's a beautiful presentation. I only brought 2 slides as an example. And you could bring a slideshow like this to school and show the class or the depending on how your school works, right? The peers that are that need to be the awareness needs to be increased. I'm sure that the way that there is this in what's this, Dutch?
In Flemish.
In Flemish, sorry, in Flemish. The same way that it's in Flemish, that you can find other presentations in other languages. Again, cooperation between parents and professionals. JAR has a kit that you can take to school and has everything you need in it in order to increase awareness in the school. Okay, so what do we mean by child-friendly? It has to be visual, it has to be short, it has to be simple, but it cannot be belittling. I mean, a child might be small, but they're a person, and it's very important that it be accurate. You cannot tell a child, oh, it doesn't hurt, or no, you'll be better afterwards, right? Just this time and that's it. No, it has to be accurate if you want your child on board. And the third thing is that it has to belong in the child's world. That's in language and in the associations that it gives. I'll give you an example here. There was a mother in Israel whose child was having difficulty with her injections. So she spoke to a friend of hers, somebody also who had a rheumatic illness, Shelley Green, and she asked her to make a picture of Fireman Sam receiving an injection. Okay, so you'll notice, those of you with young kids will notice there are a few other heroes waiting in line to receive their injection. Okay, but that's empowering. She said for her daughter to see that her hero also got injections. Okay, I can do that as well. We've got care packs. A number of associations have care packs. I just brought two examples. One is the Arthritis Foundation. Everything in this care pack is geared for a child's understanding of the new diagnosis that they just received. A child-friendly book, and coloring, and a teddy bear, and a heating pad, et cetera, et cetera. Here's another example. This one is from JAR. One for, they've got two care packages, one for young children and one for older children. You receive it free of charge if somebody, they just send it off to whoever needs it. Okay, resources. Okay, we're looking for things that are easily available, the least amount of money and maximum effect. Okay, easily available means looking at ourselves. What can I do? What can my friend do? Do I know someone who knows how to draw pictures? Do I know someone who is savvy on the internet? Right? Everybody has some connections, and everybody's willing to do something small to help. And sometimes a very small thing, even small in the amount of effort that it takes to start it off, like a web page or making a sticker, can go a very, very, very long way. And of course, we want minimal time investment. And very, very important, share available sources. There are things on the internet, your associations have things, other associations have things, speak to ENCA, etc. Okay.
I'll just add here, as far as ENCA goes, is that I think what we've got to do is we've really got to, we just started to ask, and all these resources came into us. And we've got to pool these resources. It's sometimes very easy to translate. It's very easy. We were just sitting about Word Day, and Catherine showed us something that's done in South Africa, which is so easy to do in every language. And we've got to sit down, pool our resources, and make sure that everything is disseminated to everyone, because there's so much out there.
Why do something twice if somebody's already done it? Right? If you can just translate it, that's a benefit for everybody. So I just have a few examples here. A T-shirt. A child can draw his own T-shirt. That's a fun afternoon activity. And you wear it, it can send it, I have JIA, or my sister's got JIA, or I'm a hero, whatever you want to put on it can go on there. Richard, of course, has on the jar a number of T-shirts that one can buy. Stickers. A child can get a sticker for getting a vaccination, can give a sticker out at school. You can have a sticker for your car. Again, that's not expensive, but it's a lot of awareness. The certificate here is just another example of something which is easy to produce. Here's a wonderful idea, JIA calling cards. For a child that finds it difficult to explain again and again and again to every single teacher why they have difficulty writing or why they can't go to whatever, so they can, with the help of a parent, prepare a calling card with a brief explanation of what they have and what their difficulties are, and just hand these cards out to the people, the adults around them that need to receive this type of information, posters.
Okay, so just to sum again, like we said, look for resources online. Let us as ENCA pool resources and, make sure that everything gets out there and we help each other, and that's how we can all make a difference.
Yeah. Remember that your children, our children, are also part of it. In other words, sometimes we sort of cocoon our kids and we think that we're going to fix everything around them. We're going to be the ones to talk to everybody, to make all the... No, let a child who's able to, let him also take part. I think it's good for a child. I think that a child knows how to voice his real needs, not the needs that we think that the child has. And they also know how to speak to their peers in a way that the peers can hear them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.